Well, I have been asked, why do we name our catamaran Remission? Pretty easy answer: cancer. So I figured about time, if you haven't read my blog on it on our website, which is sailingremission.com, just give you a quick little overview on what happened and where we're at and where we're going, and new scares. So basically in 2017, wasn't feeling good. Actually, for about a year I wasn't feeling good. And 2 days after I completed my 10th Ironman, I had a biopsy. I had like a golf ball, actually, on this side. And 3 days later, my doctor calls me up and says I need to come in. So I go in and see her, and she tells me I have stage 4 mantle cell lymphoma. Now, mantle cell is a pretty rare form of lymphoma. In fact, she said she had to look it up. Well, obviously the first thing I ask is, stage 4, how long have I got? And she says, I don't know how many months you have left. Now, this is 2017. So obviously I'm a little upset and worried about it. Well, I'm on my way home and I call my wife to tell her, and of course Cindy, for whatever reason, didn't answer the phone. I called my best friend Mike, and this is where actually I get kind of lucky. Mike is married to Ann, who at the time was a high-powered trauma doctor, and she immediately got on the phone and she found me one of the top 5 blood oncologists in the nation, who just happened to live in Denver. Got me her private phone number. I immediately called it, got an appointment for the next day. Now, this is a Thursday, and on Friday I've got an appointment with this high-powered oncologist. Well, I don't know if you noticed, I had to stop and start that video a lot of times. It's pretty loud along the waterfront. So, continue my story. So Friday morning, Cindy and I are sitting in front of my new oncologist. I just refer to her as the hot doctor for now on. And my first question was hers, how long do I have? My last doctor told me a few months. Well, this is where I knew I loved my hot doctor. First thing she says is, okay, let's get this straight. We're going to devise a treatment plan and we're going to get you through this. So let's not talk about dying. Let's talk about how we get better. And so she did a spreadsheet, basically showed us a couple different treatment methods. What the mantle cell was all about and what I needed to do. And after talking to me, she realized, since I was in my late 50s, but I was in pretty good shape. I mean, literally, I just did an Ironman at this point 6 days prior to that. And she decided, okay, if I was up for it, they were going to attack my disease and go really strong. She thought that I could handle. Normally, this type of treatment's reserved for people in their 30s. So, oh shoot, hold on a second. So she said, we're going to track it. We're going to really attack this. And decided to use a six-month chemo plan with some very aggressive 5 different chemo drugs, 2 different types of 5 different chemo drugs, every 3 weeks until the cancer was out of my body. And once I was cancer-free, it didn't mean that the problem was gone. It's because lymphoma basically attacks your bone marrow. So they basically decided they were doing a bone marrow stem transplant once the chemo was gone. So it wasn't going to be fun. I mean, I asked her, I go, I got an Ironman in 4 weeks. Can I do that? She goes, you're sick. No more Ironman until it's all gone. So started the chemo the following week, went through it. She expected 6 rounds of chemo. I was cancer-free of 4. So set it up for actually a Halloween day to get my bone marrow transplant. And luckily for me, they were actually able to use my cells to regenerate my bone marrow rather than having to get a donor. So went through my transplant, which was not a fun experience. Ended up spending 3 full weeks in the hospital, and then another next 45 days every day, driving 45 minutes to and from. Actually, Cindy drove me 45 minutes to and from the hospital to get treatments. And eventually it took 30 full months after my transplant to be deemed, well, for this point, I wouldn't say healthy, but deemed cancer-free and in remission. So that's basically really how we came up with the name, because I figured, you know, my doctor told me I had 3 to 7 years before it would come back, because it wasn't a cure. You can't cure this type of cancer, at least right now. But 3 to 7 years being in remission before I have to go through it again. And I thought, you know what? From this point on, every day is a gift. So we retired, bought our boat, named it Remission. Now, a post thought after this is, you know, it's been now 8.5 years since my transplant. They said 3 to 7. So I'm ahead of the curve. And we're going to continue living this lifestyle for really as long as we can, as long as I stay healthy. But now, a new wrinkle. Get to that in a second. So we just got back from Colorado. We went back for the holidays. And I always do the checkups and stuff. And I have been having another problem, which anytime I got a problem, I get a little worried. This one was, I thought it was just old man disease. Whereas pretty much every night, getting up about every hour and a half and have to pee. And I couldn't even empty my bladder. So at this point, went to the doctor. They tested my PSA for my prostate. And of course, it was 2.5 times normal level. So I went and saw a urologist, got a couple of, first a bladder biopsy. Luckily that proved negative, no bladder cancer. And then I had 12 biopsies because I did an MRI and they checked and saw I had lesions on my prostate. Took 12 biopsies. Pretty much they told me I was 90% sure of having cancer. So I thought, here we go again. Well, got the biopsies back 3 days later. All 12 were benign. Still cancer-free. So this really has made it to where I think I'm going to continue just to live every day. And if you look at my logo here, or you see it on the videos, the live every day is definitely our motto. That's why we have our Live Everyday project, where we try to give back to other people that can use a helping hand. And we find a lot in the islands, and it's been fun so far to help some people. We're actually going to be going this next season, some really remote islands, and we expect to really be able to give back as much as we can. So that's our story, why we named it Remission. It's why we live the life we do, because you got to make every day count. And so if you're in that mind frame, join us and make sure you live every day. Thanks for listening to my story. And like I said, it's been 8 years. who knows? Let's just keep it going until we can't. Thanks for being a subscriber and a watcher of our YouTube videos. I know it's been a while since we've had any. You know, again, we were playing in Colorado and also with another cancer diagnosis looming. Just kind of taking stock of where we're at. But our videos should be coming back now, hopefully every Sunday morning. Hope you watch, enjoy. Again, thank you for everything. Bart out.
When we wanted to see bones, we invented the X-ray. When we wanted to see pregnancy, we invented the ultrasound. When we wanted to see the brain, we invented the MRI. So why can't we do something about the finger up the butt for a prostate exam?